Awesome. Well, hey, welcome to the Upper Hand podcast, and would love to welcome Coach Lil and Coach George, who founded MOVA in 2013, and a volleyball club located in the St. Louis metro area. And very excited to have you guys on. So thanks for joining.
Well, thank you for having
Thank you
us.
for having us.
And we're very excited to work with you guys as well as see all the different types of software you guys have to offer.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys being on. So, how we got introduced to Coach George and Coach Lil was through a new community initiative at Upper Hand, what we call Uplift, where we were able to reach out to the community to learn stories about folks who are actively running really exciting programs across the country for youth athletes and the impact they're having on those athletes, and to just sort of share kind of the struggles maybe that they've had building a business. One, it's very difficult to build a business in any industry, let alone in sports, particularly through the stages of COVID that we've all had to experience, unfortunately, and have come out of. But even aside from those difficult times, building a sports organization can be challenging. So I'd love for you guys to maybe share with our listeners, a little bit more about, kind of how you guys got started. What made you decide even, start a volleyball academy to begin with, and what brought you to St. Louis?
Well, we've always loved coaching. And when George and I got together, I kind of got George into the coaching aspect of volleyball. And from there, we decided to coach teams together. The energy that we brought onto the court with the players and instilling the motivation, the confidence in these players really put a reward to it for us to continue doing it. The amount of players that we saw that just like literally bloomed as an athlete from the ground up really allowed us to believe that this was the calling that God has given to us. And with that said, George and I continued to set on coaching for different clubs, different teams, and decided, you know what, to make it a better fit for us, let's start our own club with our own identity, with what we want for our club to be. We want everybody to feel a part of it. One of the things that we basically realized when we coached for other clubs was different divisions and being part of the clique. A lot of the things that a lot of these kids are put under pressure in society, and us as adults having to go through this makes it harder for us to do the things that we need to do. So with that said, George and I decided, let's build a club that's going to allow different nationalities, different kids, different personalities, and allowing parents to feel a part of being part of the family here at this club.
Yeah, and maybe give folks a view too of kind of what all you're offering today, right? Obviously, you run not only teams, but they're very competitive. You guys, win a lot, which is always a great ingredient to a great program. But yeah, give us a flavor for kind of what all is part of the Missouri Volleyball Academy offering.
The offering, what we offer basically is we do offer teams to wear at different levels and allowing them to grow. And from there, building the confidence in these kids. We do training, we do agility. We just started that with our new facility, of course. And basically, the competitiveness and allowing them to be able to have short-term, long-term goals to be able to get recruited in college.
What age group do you guys start with on? And it's boys and girls, correct?
We've started with 8 and under, which is a 10 and under age group, all the way up to 18s in our boys and girls program.
That's wonderful. Awesome. And there is some training aspects to it in addition to the teams. So maybe share kind of how you guys got started. You're both are you both from St. Louis, kind of coming from other places. What kind of brought you here and into the mix of starting a MOVA?
Well, for me, I was born in the Philippines. My dad was a professional basketball player there and retired here in the States. We moved to Missouri. And then from there, I was a softball player. Never really knew what volleyball was until my daughter, who was pretty tall, got recruited by a club. And with that said, volleyball grew in my mind and in my future. And that's where I came from when it came to coaching.
As for me, I was born in Africa and I came here on a basketball scholarship. Believe it or not, I'm a basketball player. I played, and then when I graduated, me and Lil were together. And I actually started when I graduated, I was coaching basketball, actually AAU basketball. But then Lil was like, "Hey, why don't you just come and coach with me? Let's coach volleyball." And then I got into it and I learned a lot from it. And, we were doing something that we needed to do together, and which was good. So then I got into volleyball and I got hooked into it. And now I cannot, do without volleyball.
Yeah, that's really cool. So kind of, sports backgrounds, we had softball, basketball. What sports mean to you, when you were a kid growing up, and kind of how has that transcended into the what you're giving to kids now through the Volleyball Academy?
Well, for me, sports is literally almost everything because I'm here because of sports. I mean, basketball is what brought me to America, to be honest with you. And it helped me keep me out of trouble. I mean, from where I come from, there was a lot of kids that I think probably were better than me in basketball. But, a lot of people kept me out of trouble because of sports. They made sure that they took care of me and told me, hey, you need to stick with the sport and stay out of trouble. So when I came here and when I grew up, after I was done, I needed to find something to give back because I knew what sports have done for me in bringing me into college and giving me a better life and education. So I wanted to give that back. So that's why I believe in sports so much because, especially with young men, I know what, I was, going through as a young kid. So I wanted to make sure that I kept the kids away from that.
Yeah.
And growing up in the Philippines, as you know, everybody over there wants to come to the United States. Luckily, I had a better opportunity because of my father being in professional basketball. Retiring here allowed me to have greater opportunities to be able to live my life here in the States. One thing that it's kind of brought was the fact that being able to play softball, the sports allowing me to learn about what being part of a team was like. And I know I put it towards my coaching, bringing the confidence and the mental aspect of the game, which is very, very important to allow these kids to grow in a natural way without feeling so much pressure, which I did when I was growing up. So, having to deal with all the different language barriers when it came to broken English. And even if we did learn English in the Philippines, that was one of the things that I had to withstand going through as I was growing up, as well as trying to fit in. So not one of the reasons what I instill in my players to be able to know that, being a part of something helps them grow as a person and as an athlete.
Yeah, well, and values is something we hear all the time, right? In terms of whether you're a former athlete and it was the values that you learned, growing up playing a sport, but to then translate that into creating a value system for your youth athletes, right? That you're coaching, which seems like you guys are very, very adamant about that, right? On the website. I mean, every conversation I've had with you, the value system that you're teaching and hoping to teach kids is really kind of the foundation of what you're doing. So would love to hear how you kind of, think about translating that into the business side of things, right? Like it's one thing we all want to do great things in terms of helping others and the value system, but how do you guys think about that from a business perspective, and how did your value system help you through the difficult times of COVID, right? And kind of really your leading story, which inspired all of us here at Upper Hand and others, because you were selected as the winner of the Uplift Sports Business Competition.
Growing a business is definitely hard. One of the things that George and I have realized this past year, having acquired our own facility and growing what we knew as a volleyball program into a business, which we really knew nothing about when it came to growing a business, but we're learning to be there. So one of the things that we feel, the values that we instill in our players, in our teams, in our coaching staff, and we instill in ourselves is the mental aspect of being positive, having faith and knowing that the struggles are part of life, and knowing how to control and how to deal with the struggles really makes a difference in how we move forward every day into this business. So having a business relationship with whether with our vendors, with our coaches, with our families really makes it great for us, because the understanding, the support that they pour out to what we go through really helps us as business people to continue on every day.
And just to also elaborate on that is, especially during the COVID times, it was really, really hard for our program. And we had to make a decision. Are we going to shut down and let the kids just not have anything? Or are we going to be, up and running so that the kids can have an outlet? And thank God that we decided on keep on moving. And we had to make that big decision on saying, hey, if you're comfortable in being here, you can come. And if you're not, then you can stay at home. And what we saw, honestly, was all the kids that decided to come were much better than the ones that decided to stay and not be part of the team. So that really, 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 I think for us, it really helped all the kids that were a part of what we were doing, more so than the ones that were at home. So I really, really thank God that we had that outlet for those kids to keep going and have that social.
And also, Kevin, I think it also allows and teaches the people that are around us to know that we have this business. We don't give up. We're not quitters. We move on. We go through the struggle, but at the same time, these are things we can't control. So therefore, we move forward in a path where we've got to fix the issue. We've got to learn how to do all these things. So those are values that, we instill in our teams, because if we don't do it, then how are they supposed to know how to deal with these struggles, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you guys have said a few things that I'm interested in digging into for listeners. So, we often talk to folks who have a facility, but we also talk to folks who don't have a facility, right? It sounds like you guys have been in that situation before where you may not have owned your own facility, when you're starting out. And starting out on its own is challenging in business. So curious what steps, you took to, what was the deciding factor? Hey, we need to own our own facility. And how did you go about doing that to put yourself in a position, to get your own space?
Well, George and I at that time, I was more of the looking in the future, okay? And George was more at the moment. And we were butting heads, and we were just basically, no, we can't do that. That's not going to work. That's going to put us in the hole. That's going to, and I got to the point where, I will be honest with you, I was scared. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to end up in jail if I don't come up with, with the rent and all this. And George was like, we had to purchase the courts, and that was a lot of money. We had to look for a place. So all these things, it was just on my end was just worrisome, lack of sleep, just questioning the whole situation, while George was really being positive and, just continuously trying to ease my mind. But on my end, I was buying it, but I wasn't buying it because somebody had to be a realist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so easy to just say, oh, we can do this. We can do this. This is all we need to do. We need to purchase this. But when you're looking at the financial aspect of it and you're paying the bills, you have more as a person. I have more to worry about as to where's the money going to come in? What are we going to do? We have to work 3 jobs, and we wouldn't be able to have make that monthly rent. What are we doing? We're setting ourselves up for failure. But yeah, George, on the other hand, George, you want to put?
Well, I'm more so, believe it or not, I'm like, I understand. I'm just going to talk. America is the greatest country in the world. So I know where I come from, and I know where she comes from. And I felt like if we needed to take a step forward, we have to look outside the box, and I know it's hard, and it was hard on us. And sometimes, some days I was questioning myself, but I had to be the strong one. I
Yeah.
had to make sure that, I kept everything in balance, everything in check. So it was one of the things that I knew that we had to take a step forward because we were growing as a program. But when you're growing as a program, you can only grow so much when you are in somebody's space or you're renting somebody's space. You have to, in order for us to grow to where we wanted to get, is we have to look outside the box. Yes,
Yeah.
we didn't have enough money. Yes, we were working two jobs each, 3 times, sometimes 3 jobs, just to make sure that everything was and planning in the future.
And also, Kevin, I have to put it out there. Our coaches have also supported our decisions and the path that we were going forward with. And with their help, also with their coaching stipend, they also help to, to put in moving forward to get into this facility and with this business.
Yeah, that's incredible, and they were extremely supportive during COVID for you guys,
Oh,
as I
yeah.
recall, as
Yes.
part of that. So I have a lot more questions on business and the facilities before we transition to how the story of the facility you were in that you ended up losing access to that space and needed to sort of scramble. We'll get there, but I am curious because I know a lot of folks. We all struggle when it comes to if you're not a CFO or a financial person, right? For folks that are have an athletic sports background, they're passionate about something, did you guys seek out financial advice, guidance, support from somebody else, or did you, was it just really kind of using the internet and digging in yourselves? Like, help people understand how you approach looking at it financially, right? Because you don't go to jail if you buy a facility and you can't pay the bills. It's bankruptcy. But
To me, owing money is going to jail.
yeah, exactly. Well, and for people that are out there, I mean, it's a real concern, right? You have a passion to want to do something, you want to do it the right way. The reality is a lot of businesses that start fail and do go through some sort of, they call it an offboarding process, a bankruptcy process, whatever it is. But was there any advice you did seek out, or how did you take the steps to improve your confidence level of what you were trying to achieve when it came to the financials of your business and the purchase of a facility?
Well, actually, I was calling banks and I was calling, just different family members just to, find out if they were able to help. And it's a lot of money. And, with the bank not having enough credit,
Yeah.
because I've been renting my house for the last 25 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So not having credit back there really wasn't good for me. So for some reason, I honestly found this person online and through, an organization, a volleyball organization. And I just reached out to him, and it was just right at that moment where, what am I going to do? Reached out to him, and he was a business consultant, and he spoke with us and really helped us out through this whole thing. And he knew our situation, and I mean, never expected him to do all of this and just, I mean, went out of his way to just really guide us and help us out. And George met him. George, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, we did, and I did a lot of homework because, if my wife is worried, I had to make sure that I also, had my homework done. So, I mean, I did a lot. We really talked to a lot of people, not just one person. We people that were business owners too, and also just even in the sports industry, we like here in St. Louis, not just, volleyball. We talk to soccer people, baseball people,
And
just to try and find out how do you go about doing this? How do you handle stuff? And, just to get that knowledge so that we could be confident that we can do this.
And also one thing, Kevin, too, one of the things that I'm very blessed about is having my son-in-law from day one, who's always had his thoughts and suggestions and input in how MOVA grows. Okay, so it's always nice to have a support system in the background to be able to go, hey, this is what's happening. And so now he's really had a lot of input into the business aspect of this, being that he is a director for a big corporation. That makes a big difference too. So all these support system around us, I mean, giving us input and suggestions have really helped out with me and George moving forward with this business.
And
Yeah.
I also have to say this too. Our
Yeah.
parents were very, very supportive. I mean, some of our parents that have been with us for a long time that are also involved in some businesses, they really, really helped us a lot in giving us some input, and that really helped. That supportive structure was really, really great for us.
Yeah, it does seem like you guys have very supportive parents, which is probably a good segue into the situation you were in with your facility during COVID, right? And what that was like. You know, you weren't in the facility that you owned at the time, right? You were operating out of another
Yeah, we
facility.
were renting. Yes.
Yeah, you know, COVID happens and you're essentially told to get out of the facility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if you run a volleyball business, everybody, you know, unless it's sand volleyball in Southern California, you're indoors, right? So what kind of walk through what happened there and you know the decision you had to make leading into that.
I remember it so clear. We were told, Lil, you have 1 month before you have to get all your stuff out of here. And froze. And within a couple days after kind of soaking everything in, I was able to pull all my coaches together in a meeting and just basically, it's still kind of, I don't know, it's like it still kind of gives me, you know, like chills and kind of really breaks my heart because, you know, one things that I don't like to talk about is I feel like I was letting my coaches down. So letting a lot of people down. So with that said, when I told them about it, of course I broke down and I told them, hey, look, we have to leave. We have to get out of here and we have to look for other places. I don't know how it's going to work. We have a month left. So I really need you guys to help support me, and we can get through all of this. And so one of the things that the feedback that we got right after that meeting was, you know what, Lil, we're all going to work together. We're going to make this happen. We are not going to let you down. We're a part of this and we will help. And it was so amazing. It was just like, and it gave me light, you know, like the tunnel at the end there was a light. And it was telling me, don't give in to fear. Don't give in to what you've grown. And we are here for you and we're going to make this happen. And so that's where we went. And you know what? From then on, moving forward, George and I just went and did step by step with the help of what he never looked back. Our parents even said, how can you guys stay so calm? What's wrong? I mean, honestly, we're freaking out because we don't know if we're going to have a club next year, but you two are just so calm. And you know what? I know some people don't believe in it and everything. We kept our faith. We kept our faith to know that we're going to move forward. We have, you know, that he will always provide, and that if you question it, then you're going to have so many doubts, and then you're not going to know which direction. So we decided we just got to move forward the path and follow along and believe in what we're doing is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it seems like faith's been a backbone of, you know, the both of you in terms of your steadfast belief in, you know, continuing to go forward, you know, in difficult times and even in good times. And it sounds like the fallback of, you know, the parents being supportive, you know, as you know, started to get emotional there, Lil, is, you know, because they were supporting you in that difficult time. And that's probably why you were able to stay calm, right? As you had parents you could turn to. Which I think is great advice for anybody that's out there who, you know, is trying to build a business and doesn't really know where to turn. Like, it is okay to turn to the people in the parents of your organization, right? And they obviously want you to be successful, otherwise they won't have their kid in the program. So as long as you're, you know, humble enough to just ask for help, people will help.
Yes,
which is a great lesson, I think, in your story.
And you know what, Kevin? I will tell you what, George and I, when I tell you we are very blessed to have a support system that allows us to have them be there for us, and to, as we move forward, making the right or incorrect decisions, and to know that these coaches and these parents are there to pick us up when things don't go right, or the decisions that we make. I mean, for me to make that final decisions and knowing that it could hurt us, okay? Having these support system just makes it so much better to know that we can make anything and everything work.
Yeah.
And I will tell you what, that is not normal. I mean, normal. And I am just so thankful for everybody who's been here with us and who's with, and those are the kind of things that down the road, as we see the benefit of the growth, that we know, George and I know, that we give back to these people.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and oh, go ahead, George.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was just going to say, I know we've got, from a time perspective, a little bit, a few minutes here. So one last question on this topic, and then I want to end with a fun one. But a lesson for people, you know, when it comes to contracts or when you're leasing a space, right? So would love to understand, you know, what did they say when they're like, get out, you got 30 days? What was the reason behind leaving that facility? And then, you know, is there any lesson you've learned for, you know, for future leases or, you know, contracts, things that, you know, you get into a property like that maybe had you put something else in place or done something differently, you wouldn't have gotten to that situation. So if there's others that are out there, you know, they could go back and look at their agreements and say, hey, let's make sure we get this in place. But yeah, so really two parts, you know, why did they say get out and in such a short period of time? But then two, was there anything you could have done differently from an original agreement perspective that maybe had protected you?
I think more than anything, because this place that we're at, it was supposed to be probably one of the biggest one in
Powerplay.
in America. It would have been a big facility. It wasn't just going to be a volleyball. It was going to be a volleyball, basketball, softball,
like a sportsplex.
Big sports. And I think after COVID, I think a lot of these
bankers,
you know, bankers and people that were investing in it really kind of, you know, some of them kind of, you know, pulled away from it. It was really like, you know, hurting them in a way. And then somebody else that wanted to come and buy the whole place to turn it into something else and didn't want anything in there. So that really hurt.
And I think going into it, moving from where we were at to moving here, and them presenting to us the biggest sportsplex in the nation. Okay, this is where it was going to be. We wanted to be a part of it. We wanted to be a club that was going to be in that program. And when it all went down, they were going to turn the facility into just a warehouse, because again, with COVID, Amazon, all these companies, the storages just went
roof, absolutely.
And so therefore the sports organization was out, more money to be made in the, you know, but when it came to the financial aspect of it, yes, it hurt us a lot. And but staying on the path and moving forward and doing what it takes to not go down is the best thing that George and I did. We don't regret anything, because when one door closes, another one opens. We felt that moving forward, we knew we couldn't give up. Moving forward was the only thing, and there was always a door open. That's the greatest thing about it. You just can't give up.
Yeah.
And also too, you know, with all that happening, and then thank God that you guys upper hand came in, and now we're in a better situation because of upper hand. So we're really
and you guys were actually brought in. I mean, like I said, an email was sent in from your company, and I said to myself, okay, why not? And I did. And then when I heard from you guys, wow, okay. And you know, so again, an opportunity. You guys were an opportunity. And had I sat there and just said, there's no way I'm going to win this, click, shut it, you know, delete. But you know what? I took it. So don't be afraid to open up and venture off something that you've never done.
And upper hand, we know that with us partnering up with you guys and you guys being a part of MOVA, it's really, really going to open up doors even more. And we're really grateful and thankful
Yes.
for you guys.
Well, yeah, you guys have been awesome to work with, and people do need to share their story. I think it's in our space, there's all these great stories of, athletes overcoming the great odds and doing great things, which is very inspirational. But at the core of it, it's the facility, the coaches who train those athletes that really were the motivation for those athletes, right? So helping folks understand, you are the DNA of really what is one of the last places you can learn core values, and just being a good person in the world is in sports. And so we really appreciated you guys opening up and sharing your story, because it's not easy to do, right? It's a lot of personal tones for people that can be difficult to go over. But so no, we absolutely love you here, and we're going to do nothing but we can do to help you be successful. One last fun question. So I got to ask, are we in your facility, or are we at home? And what is it like working together, both professionally and then, how do you cut off the time from business to spend time together?
We don't cut anything off. George and I, we are opposite. Okay. I'm the backbone to the end of the business.
Yeah.
He's the front end, where he does more of the physical work and I do more of the paperwork. Don't get me wrong. We do get on each other's nerve, but we are together 24/7.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 24/7.
Yeah.
We get along.
No.
Yeah, we better get along. But you know what? I could not operate this business without him. And I know for a fact he can't do it without me.
It's true, because we do everything together. A lot of people actually ask us, how do you guys do it? Because you're always together. Because right now, this is all we focus on. I used to have my own job. She used to have her own job and all that. But now, running this business the way that it is now and getting bigger, we are both focusing on MOVA. And we're with each other 24/7. Even when we go on vacation, we find ourselves talking about MOVA. That's all we do.
Actually, we were just at a wedding reception this Saturday, and I was on my phone and texting and emailing, and he goes, they said, you're in a wedding reception. Why are you doing MOVA email? And then George was kind of like, well, she's got to keep working. Somebody's got to keep grinding, right? So, but believe me, we're both here for a reason, and we, like I said, we lose patience with each other, but at the same time, we also work together to become a better
partner for each other.
Better motivator for these kids that are out there. Because I will tell you what, as a parent, I would not have kids nowadays in these generations that we have. But we, as I don't know, a motivator, a teacher, and coaches for these kids, instilling the values, helping these parents lead these kids to become better players and better adults, we will do it. We will do it.
And I think too, with where we come from, I think that also gives us that motivation of saying, you know what, with what I've been through, I want to make sure that some of these kids do not fall into that.
Exactly.
We want them to be better. And we know what made us better and where we were in order for us to be better. So we always, that's one of the things that keeps us going.
So in 3 words, we don't hate each other.
Maybe just like 1% of the time, there's the battles, but you guys are a great team.
Battles are the ones that makes us stronger, because
exactly.
We get out of it and then we get stronger for it. So.
Awesome. Well, we can't thank you guys enough for hopping on here. So thanks again for everything.